Hey, hey, hey. How you doing? Welcome to the Tarot Flow Show, everybody. The Tarot Flow Show where synchronicity is the star. I'm your host, Alison Pickering, and it is my pleasure, as it always is, to welcome my co-host, the Scandinavian savant from Stockholm. He is so adorable, and I'm so glad that he's my friend and co-host. Please welcome Kefri Skarabus. Welcome, Kefri.
Thank you, Alison. Excellent to be here as always.
So glad to have you there, and it's always very
Thank you.
reassuring to have you shuffling the cards in the background, absorbing the vibe of our reading, and then giving us the goods later on.
Thank
Let's see
you.
who our guest is
Yeah.
today. Absolutely. So here we have a special guest. She's a friend of a friend, and I'm just getting to know her today. She's just moved from North to South New Jersey. Our friend in common is the adorable Brigitte, and please welcome Virginia de Blasi to the show. Yay! Welcome, Virginia. I'm going to bring you in so you can actually talk and say hi. How you doing?
Hi, folks.
Hi.
It's a pleasure to have you here today. And tell us a little bit about yourself, about what you've been doing over the years. What do you want to share so that we can know who you are?
Well, your average girl from New Jersey, born in New York, moved here. I had wonderful children. They're all young adults. They're all living locally to where I was in northern Jersey, so I hated to leave them, but they're doing terrific. They're bright. They're adventurous souls. I moved down here for a number of reasons. It became just financially draining. Live up North Jersey. I wanted a place where I could live here for the next 30 years and wanted a house where I could go adventuring near the ocean, near lakes, near streams, new people with like-mindedness.
Wonderful.
And a community that is very supportive. I'm in a 55 plus community, a very nice freestanding house with terrific neighbors, and it's kind of my point of operation. From there, I go.
Okay. Well, this is your new life, and your sound is breaking up a tiny bit. I'm sorry to say, but I got most of what you said, and I think that that's great. And you're down in your new community, and I'm thrilled for you in your beautiful home. Tell us a little bit about tarot. Do you have experience with tarot? What are you looking forward to in this? What would you like to share?
I'm a very spiritual person and tend to gather as around other very spiritual people. Had very good experiences with tarot. They have confirmed very important paths for me, told me things to avoid, and they were so right. They've told me to look for certain signs, what I should be focusing on in my thoughts and in my actions, and it's been a blessing.
Wonderful. Well, I hope that this is the same for you. I apologize for cutting you off. I just, with the sound the way it is, I think that Kefri and I are going to do the majority of the talking here. And you'll have the recording to refer to. So I hope that this gives you the kind of specificity and all kinds of good support that you've gotten from those other readings. Let's take a look at what we're doing today just to get a frame of reference. So we're going to here with you today. We've had a chance to meet you briefly, and we're going to, in a moment, unpack a focus card from our major arcana. Then we're going to do a reading for your consideration. So and then for anybody who's interested in this kind of thing, just come join us at AlisonPickering.com. We have some offers of our academy is starting up. We have events, we have some coaching, we have travel, all kinds of stuff coming in 2025 is our big travel debut. So check it out at AlisonPickering.com. So Ginny or Virginia, let's take a look at the major player in the tarot. He is the Fool. He is like, it's not a man, it's not a woman, it's a picture to represent some larger archetype within our consciousness that is willing, that is looking. It's the same thing in you that said, what could I do that's new? What might be a new phase for me. You're jumping into a new phase for your next 30 years, and may there be even more than that. And he goes through life, and we're going to oversimplify quite a bit here, but let's just say that our fool in the first row has his internal capacity, his family at home, his education into the social mores, some friends, some transportation, all those kinds of basics. But then he has to go out in the world. She has to go in the world. They have to go in the world and live all these lessons of adulthood, which are down this middle row: passion, solitude, luck, law, ostracism, big changes, big tests, all these kinds of things that we go through as adults, and they form our personality. And then on the bottom are these kinds of states of consciousness. And so we could be like the devil, very power driven and materialistic, or just really stuck into work, work, work all the time. Or we could have that notion knocked asunder by reality. Then we're left to our naked selves. We could be emotional and moony. We could be liberated and sunny. We could be finding our next new drummer to march to, and then into a whole new beginning. And you're in a whole new beginning right now in your life. So let's ask you, Miss Virginia, let's pick a number between 1 and 22 as I shuffle these up to see which is going to be the major arcana for us to unpack today. Which major arcanum are we going to unpack? What number between 1 and 22 suits you right now?
Let's go with 9.
Let's go with 9. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then card number 9 is the Moon card. The Moon card. And let's check that out. And here is the Moon card. So again, this is not our reading per se, but this is just examining one of the cards to see how many symbols can be in there. So firstly, we can see 3 animals. We've got the dog, a wolf or a coyote, and a crayfish. And so that's representing our domesticated selves, our wild selves, and then our unconscious selves. And all of these kind of get pulled up by the moon. And we can see 3 phases in the moon, and that kind of represents 3 phases of life. You and I, we're going into our 3rd phase, I think. You know, we've been through our young ingenue phase. You go through your mature woman phase, and now we're, sorry to say it, Virginia, we're moving into the crone phase right now. But you know, we have makeup and hair color and all that good stuff. We can stave it off for a little while, and enjoy our latter years here in community, and however we're going to do it. There are 2 pillars in this card and a pathway that goes in the distance, and so that's very important because there's this idea that it may not be easy, but it is incumbent upon us to walk our path, even though we may not know where it's going. And there's a lot of, so those 2 paths, those 2 pillars, sorry, the one path between the 2 pillars, we can see those 2 pillars in the Death card in the distance. And so this is the idea that you've gone through a change now, and now you're kind of in the midst of all the emotional adjustment that happens during those kinds of changes as you make your way forward, now closer to these 2 things. And the 2 pillars represent, in the tree of life, the 2 extremes: the pillar of severity on the one side, harshness, and then the pillar of mercy on the other. So you can be too harsh and too hardcore and really just go off the rails, being too much that way, or you can be too merciful, too sweet, too walked all over, you know, and get off the rails in that way. So the idea is to blend those 2 forces, or those 2 aspects, and kind of walk a middle path. What else is within that Moon card, Kefri, for us to be aware of?
This is about self-development on the deep levels, and that path that goes up there, the crayfish there, could be tradition actually in different areas of life. And you also see the ripples on the water when the crayfish is coming up on the earth, so to speak, to go to crawl that pathway actually. And that is also a lot of what can affect our development actually in both a positive and negative way. And we also have 15 yods falling from that moon actually, golden yods, and 15 is the secret number of planet Saturn. And here we have that mysterious connection between the moon and the planet Saturn, that they are both connected to a sort of a dark energy that has to do with our shadow actually. And to walk that way, we must be friends with our shadow and our bad sides actually, because we won't be able to develop if we don't explore that area in our life. And also the pillars are quite anonymous here because they are not known by us perhaps, or they will look different when we start to walk that middle path there. And also the blue color in the background, if it is mountains or what it is also another type of reality in reality that we will probably be exploring and discovering when we are going deeper in ourselves actually. It's a lot in this card, and it is on a dark and profound level actually, but it's not a card to be afraid of, but it is a card that says now it is time to work with yourself, and you should do it with yourself, so to speak. You don't need anybody else to help you with this. You should go deep inside of yourself, so to speak.
Thank you
So
so
that
much.
is,
Well, all of that
yeah,
sounds delicious and daunting, you know.
yeah, and that's that card, and it's astrologically it is connected to the star sign of Pisces actually, because that
Pisces,
is,
that's your sign.
yeah,
Okay. And,
yeah,
and Jin, what's your sign?
I'm a Leo.
You're a Leo, like me. Okay, so we are on the opposite end of the watery
yeah,
Pisces and our fiery Leo. Well, and you know, Kefri and I have been like a couple of accountants here, itemizing all of the little symbols on this card and stuff. But what's really more important about the cards is something that you're probably experiencing already, which is just kind of the holistic overall impression. Do you get an overall impression when you look at this card, when you see this card? Does it feel mysterious, or what is there any kind of emotion that you feel when you look at this?
Yes, I feel everything's pointing to a particular direction, which is journey.
A journey indeed. Yeah, well said. And that's look at that, and that is exactly what that card is depicting. In very few words, you have summarized all the stuff that he and I were going on and on and on about. So well spoken, well noted, and well done. So thank you, Virginia, for doing that. And what we're going to do right now is take a quick look at our minor arcana, which we are the rest of the deck here. And we can see 4 suits. We can see the aces and the knights of the 4 suits, the wands, and then the cups, and then the swords, and then the pentacles. The wands are fire, intuition, and spark. Like you just get an idea. You don't know where it comes from. You just get an idea, and you can respond to it, but you can't necessarily originate it. That's kind of like what the wands are. We respond, and they are our intrinsic values and the things that get us fired up, but we really can't explain it very well. If that idea that we have is going to come into fruition, then we're going to have to care about it. That's the watery suit of the cups, the emotions, and you can see the quest on this knight down on the bottom. If that idea that we now care about is going to come anywhere close to reality, then we probably need to make a plan, make a timeline, make a list, start breaking it down, getting analytical, and that's the suit of swords. That analytical suit, and that knight is certainly on a mission. He's got an idea that he's ready to roll with. And then things slow down a bit when we get into reality, because things slow down because they have to play out in time. So you look at the pentacle suit and that knight on the black horse there, he's just guarding the field so that we can actually not starve, because we need food. There's crops that need to be grown. There's agriculture. There's gestation. There's all these time-bound things that we have in life. And there's a star, there's a 5-pointed star on that coin or that pentacle, because we deal with the earth and the world with our 5 senses. Those are our currency, so to speak. So if we look at our wands here, we can see maybe progressions of an idea, creative projects, things like that, how ideas go through phases. And look at that 10 down, and there's 1 through 5 and then 6 through 10. If we had to carry forward every single idea we ever had, that'd be pretty heavy, wouldn't it? So that's the wands, and we can see all the fiery symbols in the court cards. Let's look at our cups here. This is like emotional involvements, emotional affairs and states of how things progress. And then look at all the watery symbols in our court cards. The swords are that analytical, rational planning kind of suit. It cools down. It's also about words and communication and messages oftentimes. And sometimes we can be so cruel to ourselves and to others with these. And sometimes the ideas that we had didn't turn out so good. Look at that 10 down there. That's like, oh my God, this was the end of that bad idea. Glad it's over, you know. But he's still alive, you know, and the dawn is still breaking in that card. And then lots of air symbols in those court cards. And then here we have the pentacles, contracts, jobs, family, responsibilities, houses, plumbing, you know, real concrete stuff, earth symbols in there. So as we get into our reading with you, Jen, what we're going to do is we're going to use a 7-card reading, and we're going to have the first card be in the top middle, and that's going to articulate yourself dealing with this issue. So it's going to be representing kind of what we're looking at. On the bottom is going to be a little timeline, past, present, future, or first this happened, then that happened, then this other thing happened, and it's all in the past, but it's still alive in your life, in your head. And then we'll have a card of advice on the right. This is good to do. A card of advice on the left. Better to avoid that. And then we'll go for some perspective at the end. And the only reason it's bigger, that perspective card, is just because that's the way our display looks, because we can focus on some cards and look there. So we will have some big cards before we get to our perspective cards, just to see them up close. And so that's the reading we're going to do with you. What questions might you have, my dear?
How are my children to fare with their future being so separated from me?
Okay. All right. So let's take a look at that. And then I'm going to be quiet for a minute and hand off to Kefri while he walks us through the laying of the cards.
Thank you, Alison. And Virginia, I am shuffling the deck, and you say stop where you want the stop to be.
Stop.
There. And how many times do you want to cut the deck, if you want to cut the deck?
3, please.
3 times. Thank you. 1, 2, and the last one, 3. There we go. And we are going to look at the subject card in the top row in the middle, and that's the Queen of Swords. And then we go in the bottom for the past card, and that is the Ace of Cups. And we go in the middle for the present, and that is the Wheel of Fortune. Then we go in the last position in the bottom row, and that is the future, and that is the Four of Pentacles. Then we go in the top row to the left, and that is the cautionary card, what is not advised to do, and that is the Ace of Swords. And we go in the other side in the top row, and that is the advice card, and that is the King of Pentacles. See a King of Pentacles, and we wait with the 7th card for now.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Kefri. Let's go ahead and put up
You're
that Queen of
welcome.
Swords in the focal position.
Yeah. The Queen of Swords there.
Thank you. So
You're welcome.
this is a lovely reading, by the way. So what we can see first off is that you are you're an independent woman now. You know, it's kind of like you're living your own part of life versus being so much with them. So I think that this is going to be focused on you more than your children, but let's just be confident that your kids are fine. The kids are all right, you know, because this is about you taking your own direction, you know, and not so much considering other people's needs. And so, what has prioritized this move is what you want to do. And we can see that very clearly in this card because we see her in profile. And so, we're not seeing her full face. We're seeing the side of the argument, shall we say, that was prioritized to make this move. We also see the blue sky and the clouds on her cloak, on her cape. And so, I think that you have and then all of the clouds in the background there. So there's this idea of fresh air. There's a fresh air concept that is you just wanted a fresh start. You wanted a clean break is very much indicated by this particular card as well. Is really like, okay, this is marking the difference between then and now. And in marking that difference, I want to say that let's look at this Ace of Cups in the past. I um, let's take a look at that ace, Kefri. I want to say that you didn't make this clean break because you were unhappy.
No.
It wasn't that it's not like you had to get away from anything. In fact, you had quite a lot of fulfillment where you were, to the degree that it was kind of overloaded. So it's like you accomplished your mission. There is a huge amount of blessing that you leave behind, even as you try your luck in this new reality. So we see that Ace of Cups. And so behind you, what is behind you is a great feeling of blessing, of fulfillment. It looks like your kids are doing great. You spoke so highly of them, so you can be very proud of the way you've raised them and of the people that they are becoming. Perhaps you had a religious involvement. Maybe you had a church community. Maybe you're Catholic and you had the opportunity. And so part of leaving was also leaving a community that gave you some spiritual anchoring. And so that may be something that you're going to be looking to in the future. I see the communion wafer here, for example, with that dove. And so the idea that there is blessing from where you're coming, as well as you can bring it to you where you're going, because that travels with you, by the way. That's not something you really leave anywhere. That travels within you. And so worry not that you have left that behind, because that will travel with you and you will find yourself again among people who understand where you're coming from spiritually. And you're not so far away from your other people that you can't go back and hang with them. You know, it's just a little drive. So let's look at this Wheel of Fortune. So it's all very rosy in the past. So it's like going from win to win here. But now what's happening is that you don't know what this new place is. You may have visited, but you haven't lived here. And there's a lot to learn, you know, and there's a lot to learn about the neighbors. And so you can see the books that are in each of these four figures in the corner. This idea that you're, and I don't know, maybe you even gamble because maybe you're close to Atlantic City now or something. I don't know the geography there. But it may be that this whole thing represents a big gamble for you because it represents maybe selling your old house, buying a new one, all these kinds of things that are a lot of changes and represent a lot of coin in a short period of time changing hands. And so that's fairly daunting. But you're in a good position and that's good. And so it's like the future is wide open for you. It's very, you are trying your luck, you're seeing what happens, you're taking the leap, you're doing all these things, you're moving to a whole new circumstance, and then you're gonna settle down. So let's look at this Four of Pentacles, please, in the future or in the ending kind of this timeline. And so I would say in this that we're kind of looking at what's already happened, because in this, in your being so happy and you're recognizing, oh my gosh, I could do all these things. What do I want to do? Then you're kind of spinning the wheel, you're house hunting, you're doing all these things. And you're like, well, look at this place. Let's try this. And so you're trying this thing and now you're there. And now it's time to put down the roots. Now it's time to settle also all the closing of the escrow, all the, it's all, as the dust settles and you're seeing what's left, what you got, what are you going to do with it now? This home probably represents a big investment for you, or some big place where you've parked some money at the very least. And now you may actually be in a position to invest further and do some other kind of things. And it looks to me like real estate is the name of the game here. This is the classic real estate card. So if this is the culmination of your real estate adventures, and now you're moving in and you're settling in and stuff, that's very much depicted in this card. But you might also have some money left over and you might want to do some other things. And so let's take a look at this top row. So we saw that you're in the decision-making position. So it is you making the decisions with this queen. Let's take a look at the recommendation in favor. And the recommendation in favor is to think long-term. It's to think in terms of buying, not try to avoid spending your money on single purchase items, but rather buy assets. Get into something that's going to produce some cash flow. Get into something that's going to be generative for you. Something that's going to, I just got the idea of wine. Okay, I don't know why, but there's all these grapes all over this person. So maybe you like wine, and you're going to have a wine cellar, and it's going to be both an investment and a joy for you. That's very off and running in some weird direction there, but perhaps that's relevant for you here. But you can see all the vineyards. There's little mushrooms down there. There's a stone. There's Taurus, and there's all this having this, and so perhaps this is a time for you to have the things that you couldn't have before because you had to give it to your kids. And so now you can have the things that you wanted. You can decorate the way you wanted. You can put things together that you can get the car that you want. It's about what you want versus what they need. And so that's something. But I would also say that you will have an eye towards not only spending, but rather investing in things that can multiply. And but there's no hurry. So let's look at the advice against. So Kefri, let's take a look at that Ace of Swords here. So in my mind, this is saying don't jump at sinking all that money into a single thing right now. If there is money left over, if you are looking to invest, then don't quite make your move yet. I would sit on it for a minute. I would investigate. I would probably wait for the election. I would probably, there's just the idea that making a big decision right now, or putting all your resources behind a single thought that you have right now, is not the better move. It's a better move to sit back in your throne, get comfortable. Let's look at that King of Pentacles again. Get comfortable and really just stay where you are for a second. Let the plants grow for a minute. Let a season, let things grow a little bit. Just anchor for a minute. There's a sense of old vines here. Can you see behind his chair that these old vines and stuff? There's this sense of old vines here. So I'm which is again going to this vineyard idea. So I don't know. But the sense I have from this king is that it's going to be better for you. It's going to actually feel better for you also to sit on that for a while and feel it. Feel your abundance, feel your ability to do so many different things, but don't make any decisions yet. Avoid committing at all to a particular direction, because I don't know that you've ever been in this kind of a throne of abundance before. So just marinate in it for a while before you start spending it all. Because that's a lot of fun, and you may actually have in mind to buy a house or a particular thing. I would just research some more and avoid pulling the trigger quite yet. Okay. Kefri, thank you for your patience. What say you?
No problem. Thank you, Alison. I am looking at them, the cards, and I am looking a bit deeper, and it's like, as you have been telling us, Virginia, that you have done a lot of changes, and I can feel that the changes are good, and I can feel that you have cut off things that was with you before that you don't need anymore, and that is good. And a new reality have opened up, actually, and in this reality there is a lot of spirituality, actually, and that is the Ace of Cups there. And it's also a lot of emotions, actually, that you can go into your emotion in another way than you was able to do before, actually. It's like a new level or dimension in your inner emotions have opened up, actually. And it could be traditionally connected to some faith, believing, and some religion and some community. But I also think that this is starting to enlarging now, because I think that you also are discovering things in the esoterical field in a more free way, but you have a base to stand on in your original faith foundation, or what I should say, the faith you grow up with, or what you have been emanating in before. But now you take it another step higher, actually. And I think you are starting to see a connection between what we can say esoterical disciplines like tarot, astrology, numerology, and so on, and also what we can say traditionally spirituality and religion. Actually, I think you read a lot about this, or if you don't, I think you should do that, because I think there are things that you is able to discover here, and both for your own development, but also for helping others, actually. And I also think there is an interest in you for ancient cultures connected to their faith and their development in the spiritual field. And I think Egypt is on top of that, actually, because it's a lot of Egypt in the Wheel of Fortune card with the Sphinx and the Anubis figure here. And we also have all the spiritual scripture figures and animals here. So I think there is a sort of a mending that is starting to happening, actually. And that makes you very content and calm also. And Alison has already said it, that everything is good in your life, actually. And now you can start exploring new fields, deeper fields, going inside of yourself, actually. Then we have that situation that Alison has been talking about, that something has happened with your with your resource base, so it is better, actually. But I am of the same belief here, that you should be careful spending money on things you don't need, actually. You should save and build up a sort of a foundation to be able to take from when you need money and other resources, actually. And it's not the right time if you have an idea that you want to develop some company, something. It's not the right time for that at this moment. It's the time for exploring in this phase that is going on now. And it is also exploring yourself in this. And Alison has been into wine here, and with the King of Pentacles, and I get a connection to Italy or France here, actually. And I I don't get the connection to wine as such, but I get the connection to the castle in the background of that card. And that could be a wine castle, actually. And this could be about travel, that you want to go out and look at the world, actually. And perhaps looking at towns in Europe or towns in your own country also. Could be California and the wine districts there and everything. But I think it is new horizons that you want to open up, and you want to get new ideas here, actually. And that is right to do here, actually. It's right to enjoy yourself in a way that builds you up, because you have those resources, or you will be able to get them. But you should spend on a longer perspective, so to speak. It could be about buying a summer house, or rent something, or something. It's something here that has to do with something you want to own, and you want to travel there and be able to explore it and so on. It could also be going on travels and just live at a hotel for some time and explore some foreign cities or something. So that's and I think it is earthbound, actually. So it is it's walking in a foreign district or something, and it could be a mountains district, and with all castles and history and so on, and perhaps also discovering the esoterical influences that has been in that area during history. And that is not Egypt, I think, because that is more, I get the feeling of Italy and France, actually. So that's, or similar places it could be Portugal also, but similar places also in your own country that has been built the same way, so to speak, to emanate the same vibration. Could be cathedrals also, but more of an spiritual, esoterical thing, actually. But also the Cathedral of Chartres in France also. It's something here, actually. It's something. And I will reveal the seventh card now that is quite logical here. And it is the Seven of Pentacles, actually. So
That's the classic card of having pulled in the harvest, and you're kind of, okay, well, now what? I mean, it's very much in the card there. And then there can be a flavor of this, like, oh my God, after all this time, is this all that's left? But it's also, oh my gosh, look what I have. What am I going to do with this? And so the idea is, but there's also the idea in this card of patience, because it's not quite the time to move on this. And so there's this idea of, you have a lot of plans, and maybe a big plan that there's like a big dream plan, but let that simmer for a bit, because it's gonna, the flavor of it's gonna change a bit as you settle into where you are now, and you figure out what you're going to do. If maybe you're going to take a trip or something along those lines. As you settle in, it'll start becoming clear to you what it is that you do and don't want to do or need to do with the monies that you have, what you can do to make more of it, so all these contemplations. This is all like looking at this and contemplating, what am I going to do now? Because obviously you're in a retirement community, but you look quite young. You obviously have a lot of vital energy still. This is, as you project it, you've still got 30 years in you. And so what are you going to do with those 30 years? And that's kind of this contemplation of, what is my earth life going to be in the next period of time, now that I've made this move, now that I'm hunkering down in that 4 card into this place. And then literally the queen settling into her kingly throne in her new place, letting her plants grow, really cultivating cultivating your new life. And so that's really what we're seeing here. I didn't see a lot about your children in here, except in this card, I would say that as you look at what you have done to raise your children, you can be confident that they are grown. You know, you've harvested good kids, and they are able to work in the world for themselves and operate in the world for themselves and report back to you and bring you their good works and show you their good works, and you can gaze upon them with pride. Once in a while, they're going to come around to you and bring you their laundry and say, and then, lay on your couch and moan and groan. But that's going to be a very welcome thing for you, I'm sure. And you'll have a chance to share with them all that's new for you, even as they share what's new for them. And it'll be a new chapter in your relationship as well, because you're no longer managing them. They are on their own now. And just like you have you've brought this crop, you've brought in the crop, and now it's on them. It really is on them to move forward in their lives, and you are going to be there. You're going to be there just a little further away, but they can count on you. There is nothing but solid energy in the future and in the recommendations for you. So I think that you can be very confident about what's happening with you and where you're going. And I would just avoid making any hasty decisions around money for the time being until you are better settled where you are.
Very good. Very good.
And I see with this seven of pentacles here, I get the feeling for pilgrimage here, actually, that you want to do a walk or something, and also gardening. It's both of them, as I get the feeling of that something needs to grow up and you have to wait for it. But it could also be a walk, and that is connected to that king with French and Italy and everything, actually. And also, I think if you haven't read the pilgrimage book by Paulo Coelho, I think you should do that, actually.
That's a wonderful book.
Yeah,
yes.
it
yeah,
is.
It's about the Camino de Santiago in Spain, which is very popular now. But there are multiple caminos, including one that starts in Germany in a vineyard up by Hildegard von Bingen's church. Up there's castles on either side of the Rhine River. It is spectacular, and you can start a walk there and go all the way to Spain and Portugal and stuff if you wanted to. It's crazy. So if you would look online, you'll see all kinds of pilgrimage routes where people, and there's ways to do it where they take your bag from place to place, so you only have to carry a day pack, for example. There's all kinds of fun things out there, and all kinds of solo travel and group travel, and the world is wide open. But those walks can be very gratifying, and they don't have to be done in a hurry, because it's your life now. It's your pace. It's your time. It's all this gentleman here. He's gazing at what all, and this is you. You're gazing at what can you do now with what you have gathered to this point, and with all that you have harvested in your life. And it has now, you've really, really brought it forward. I have a feeling you sold the house and bought this new place, and now you're sitting on what's left, and now you've got like, what do I do? And there's that feeling of hurry, but you don't hurry. Avoid hurrying. Yeah. Just take your time.
Yeah, it could also be golf, actually, that is involved in this also. It's something with the ball there, I think, because...
it does look like golf, yeah. Or,
So it's recreational, but it is recreational connected to a spiritual thing, actually, I think.
So this is the tarot flow. And then we have a letter that's on that Wheel of Fortune. And the Wheel of Fortune letter is which one?
It's cup.
Cup, the head, right?
No, the palm.
The palm. Oh, because it's the wheel.
Yeah.
Okay. Keep your palm open.
Yeah.
Keep your palm open. More money is coming. Think assets, investments. What could I do to keep the money, to keep something? It's like a one crank that you can crank it once and it keeps on cranking. So maybe it's a rental property. Maybe it's something, I don't know what. It's going to be something, but it's not quite yet. But you're going to keep your eye open for something that's going to keep generating money. so that you can keep doing all the fun things you want to do and you can keep it rolling for 30 years. So yeah, that's what I see here.
Yeah.
So this is the tarot flow, my dear. I hope it's been useful to you.
Absolutely. It's so much sense. Absolutely.
Well, I
Good.
thank you, and you are always welcome, Virginia, to come back. You can come back in a couple of months, and we can catch up with you, and you can catch up with us, and it would be our pleasure to have you back.
Perfect. I would love to come back. I've
All
enjoyed
right.
with both of you immensely. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well,
Thank
I
you.
appreciate your joining us. Kefri, thank you for your wisdom. Everybody, if
Thank
you are
you.
still here, you have a great attention span. Thank you very much. And we're going to say bye-bye to Virginia right now and wish you all the best. Blessings upon you. May your palm stay open. May it stay filled. And use that palm also to turn your wheel the way you want it to turn. You know, you can be the one to, you don't have to be subject to, you can turn the wheel the way you want it to go now, especially at this time in your life where you have so much independence. And so happy Independence Day for you. And we'll see you soon. Thank you again for joining us today.
My pleasure. Stay well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody. See you soon on the Tarot Flow Show. All right. We're going to say bye-bye and bring this in. And thank you very much for being here with us.